Metaphysics of presence is one of the foundational axioms of Western philosophy. The concept is almost 2500 years old. It is inscribed deeply into the Western intellectual tradition. I think that an appropriate way to begin a discussion on the metaphysics of presence is to read Aristotle's definition of time as found in his book Physics. This is what Aristotle says. I quote, "Time is the number of motion, the number of movement, in respect of before and after." Unquote. I think I should repeat this definition. Time is the number of motion in respect of before and after. So, how does Aristotle see time? He sees time as a number. What kind of number is it? The number of movement, the number of motion. I know that Aristotle's famous definition of time has been subjected to numerous interpretations. I know that it is a controversial definition, but I would like to interpret it in a rather simplistic manner for the benefit of my students. So, how does Aristotle see time? Aristotle sees time as a number. What number is it? Number of movement, number of motion. This number could be anything. It could be minutes, it could be hours, it could be days, it could be weeks, it could be months, it could be years, it could be decades, it could be centuries. Time is the number of movement in respect of before and after. So, what is time? Time is a number. What number is it? Number relating to movement, number relating to motion, in respect of before and after, in respect of the past and in respect of the future. This is Aristotle's way of foregrounding the present, of privileging the present over the past and the future, of making the present something of paramount importance, unlike the past, unlike the future. This definition of Aristotle can be seen as the starting point of the metaphysics of presence in Western philosophy. Because this definition makes the present the reference point. Time is measured as the number of movement in respect of before and after, which means that what happens in the past and what will happen in the future are measured with reference to the present. Thus, the present becomes extremely important, certainly more important than the past and the future, and the present becomes the reference point. The concept of the metaphysics of presence holds that truths are eternal, but in the temporal existence of man, the eternal truths have to manifest themselves as presences in the present. Any great truth is eternal, it is valid for all time, but it has to manifest itself as a mere present at the present moment because man lives in the present. For any idea, however great, however eternal it be, to make itself known to man, it has to appear in the present as a presence. This is part of the concept of the metaphysics of presence. Western civilization is highly phenocentric. It has been so since the days of Plato, since the days of Aristotle. Western civilization has always attempted to privilege speech over writing. Speech is seen as more primary than writing, more fundamental than writing, more immediate to reality than writing. Again, this can be explained through the concept of the metaphysics of presence. Speech operates in the present, writing operates in the future. Speech is uttered in the present, heard in the present, and responded to in the present. Writing, on the other hand, is not read immediately after it is produced. It is read at the reader's convenience at some future date, and it is believed to be less fundamental, less primary, less close to reality than speech. Thus, the phonocentrism of Western civilization, lasting centuries, lasting even thousands of years, can be explained through the concept of metaphysics of presence. Jacques Derrida was one of those who opposed the concept of metaphysics of presence consistently and comprehensively and attempted forcefully to debunk it. Let us take one more look at Aristotle's famous and controversial definition of time. Time is a number of movement in respect of before and after. In this definition, a very artificial division is carried out. Three segments are generated: the past, the present, and the future. And the second segment, the present, is privileged over the first, and the third over the past and the future. But the fact is that time is not something which is applicable only with reference to the present. A better definition of time would have been an attempt to integrate the past, the present, and the future, to demonstrate that time need not be counted with reference to a point, but that time can be described as something which affects, which influences the past, the present, and the future equally. The concept that the great truths are eternal, but that in order to make themselves known to man, they have to make themselves presences in the present, assumes that man's life in this world is in the present. This is fallacious. It is true that the present is important, but man's life in this world is not a point, it's a duration. And it is absurd to assume that man lives only in the present. Man lives in the present, of course, but he has lived in the past and he will live in the future. And these are equally important as his life in the present. The concept of metaphysics of presence holds that there is a reality, that we live in that reality, and that language is perfectly capable of reflecting that reality. But using the concept of difference, Derrida demonstrated that language by its very nature is self-contradictory, is incapable of capturing reality with exactness and truth. Thus, he demonstrated that the concept of metaphysics of presence is fundamentally flawed. Derrida attacked the concept of metaphysics of presence because it was a metaphysics of presence. and nothing else. According to Derrida, the theory of metaphysics of presence gave too much importance to presence and ignored everything else. According to Derrida, there will be no presence without absence. It is absence which gives presence its identity, which gives presence its meaning. This being so, the concept of metaphysics of presence has no space within its matrix for absence. Hence, Derrida found the concept of metaphysics of presence basically hollow. Another problem with the theory of metaphysics of presence is its concept of presence. The theory assumes that presence is presence and nothing else, that presence is pure, that presence is uncontaminated, that there is nothing but presence in presence. Derrida believes that this is fundamentally wrong because every presence has the element of absence within it. Because there can never be a presence without absence in its heart. By refusing to see this reality, the theory of metaphysics of presence fails, fails as a theory, becomes invalid as a theory.